Good morning, students. Today we are going to read class 7th SST History, chapter number 5, Architecture, Painting and Music, part 3. So in the previous video, in the previous two video, I had explained about the temple architecture as well as the Islamic architecture in the last video. So Islamic architecture had a different monumental features that I had explained, like dome, mihrabs, minarets, and a true arch, motifs. So there were so many features in the different Islamic architecture. So in this video, we'll read about the next architectures which were constructed by the Islamic people or the ruler of Delhi. So in the previous video, I had explained about the tomb, mosque, and the minarets and the example of dome. So these were the things that we have to understand. The what kind of the architecture, what they have made, and what kind of technologies or the architectural style they have used for the construction of the different monuments. Now let us continue with the next topic, that is the gardens. So there you can see the picture of the garden. The garden is basically had the water source in it, as well as the garden is in the square safe. Sorry. So garden is in the square safe, you can see easily, and this is the example of Mughal gardens, and every garden has some of the residential buildings buildings like that, whether it is residential palaces, forts, mausoleums, or the mosques. So gardens were become the most important features of the Mughal architecture basically. So gardens were created around almost all of the architectures which were created by the Mughal emperors, whether it is Humayun, whether the Akbar, or the his successors. So gardens become the most important features of the several Mughal rulers. It was mainly adopted by the Jahangir and then his son Shah Jahan also. So this was main feature. This becomes the main feature of the Islamic architecture. So there you can see the garden increases, it enhances the beauty of the monuments. So that is why the different Mughal emperors had constructed the different gardens. Now the gardens has it's become essential feature. Almost all kinds of Mughal monuments were the interrelated to these monuments, which categorize as like monuments. The gardens with monuments is categorized into different, like gardens attached with the imperial palaces, forts, and gardens which beautified the private residential buildings of the nobles. So as I told you that gardens become the it's become important or the necessary part of the Mughal architecture. So whether they are constructing palaces, the forts, or the garden is definitely there in the in those buildings and the monuments. Whether it is a private residential of the nobles, so nobles, those who were living in the different Mughal emperors rule, so those nobles also get their palaces beautified by the gardens. Also religious and sacred structures like tomb and mosque, that is also contains the gardens. Also the resort and the public building in the pleasures, gardens. So basically gardens were also constructed in the public building as well, for that is for common for the all people, and resorts for the entertainment of the ruler or the Mughal emperors. So for those places also contains the gardens. So as I told, that gardens become the essential part of the Mughal architecture. Now the classical format of the Mughal garden was enclosed space with a structure as its center. So the structure is in between the garden, rest out the structure is surrounded by the gardens basically, and with entrance gate. So this entrance gate can be one or can be multiples, means it can be more than one. And subsidiary structures like pavilions that I explained, and set into remaining walls. So basically, whether the walls is there surrounded the gardens, whether the other pavilions were that was constructed on the different surfaces, and the main structure, whether that is the fort, whether that is the tomb or mosses. So this becomes the important feature of the particular Mughal Empire. Now you can see the picture of Shalimar, that is in the nowadays it is in the Jammu and Kashmir state, that is the Union Territory right now. So this particularly is a terrace garden. Basically, you can see in this garden is in the three terraces that you can that might be you are able to see, that this is the three terrace garden, and it has a fountain in between, that is the water source, and what it gives it enhances the beauty of the garden. So for that only the sprinklers or the different water sources fountains were made in the Mughal garden. So this becomes the important feature of the Mughal architecture. As you have also seen, you have created your kitchen garden or your balcony, and you have converted those things by using the different greeneries, by you planting the plants and the different flowering plants. So this gives your house looks more beautiful, like as the Mughal emperor also, they have started constructing these these type of gardens in their architecture developments. Now the next topic is the fort. So basically, fort is what? It's a place where it's a residential place where the emperor lives, and the forts were made to be very strong, that cannot be annexed by the any other ruler or the any other king. So basically, forts were so strong, they have the strong walls, and it had different towers to watch towers, basically to watch the whole building, as well as it has the different guards. So the forts were served as a residential building. Now let us see, this is the picture of Agra fort beside the Taj Mahal. So this fort was constructed construction was started around 1565, and the starting some of the monuments which were constructed by the Akbar, and after that his grandson, that is the Shah Jahan, he had also added some of the monuments after Akbar. So he, as I explained in the previous chapter number 4, that is Akbar and Shah Jahan and Jahangir, they were also, and they also encourages the different architectural development, as well as painting and music. So they had developed in their reign. So now this was started by Akbar, but it was many construction were also added by the Shah Jahan. So basically, the forts were the walled structure that served as a residence or of an emperor and other member of the royal family, as well as military stronghold for the empire. So I told you that forts were served as a residence of the emperor, as well as the members of the royal family, they also lives in it. And it is the Agra fort that you can see, it is a good example of Mughal architecture for construction the fort, that gives the fusion of Bengali as well as Gujarati style of architecture. Delhi gate of Agra fort is decorated with inlay work. So the Delhi gate here in the Agra fort, it is decorated with the inlay work. That is, what is inlay? That is a kind of mosaic, you can see. So mosaics, I had explained that on the stone, the different colored stone were pasted. Here it is used marbles. So marbles was used for the decoration of the this Delhi gate, which is present in the Agra fort. One more feature is there, Jahangiri Mahal. It is also a place, or it is also a palace for women that is belongs to the royal household. And one more is there, that is the Nagina Masjid or Jam Masjid. It is also known as Moti Masjid. So it is also a good example that is present in the fort. So these were the different architectural development that were led during the period of the different Mughal rulers. Now, Havelis. So Havelis, you have seen, you have already heard in from your ancestors, your like great grandfather or grandfather or grandmother. The Havelis were there. That is the particularly belongs to the particular the rich peoples, the jamidars, whether they belongs from the jamidar family, they had the havelis. So havelis is what, it's a mansion, basically it's a big mansion, or the usually it has the historical and architectural significance. So there, this is the picture of one of havelis from the different havelis. So this picture shows that this building is also grand, that were used to construct the different architecture from the during the Mughal Empire. So during the rule of, or the reign of Mughal empires, havelis were also constructed. So basically haveli word is derived from the Arabic word which means the partition or the private space. So where the private space is there, that is known as the haveli. It is Arabic word basically. So where it is separate from the other people that provide the private space to the particular people. So for that they have constructed the havelis. They were so huge, they were so big, and the maintenance also, it might be multi-storied also. So these havelis served as a different residence to the nobles or the rich person during the rule of the Mughals. So basically the havelis were the mixture of Persian, Central Asian, Indian and Islamic style of architecture. So haveli is what it was constructed during that time. It is a mixture of different other types of monuments which were constructed during the Mughal Empire, and it served as a home to the nobles and wealthy traders and merchants, like cities like Agra, Lucknow, Delhi, Lahore, Multan, many more cities are there. They had the famous havelis during that time. Okay, the havelis, or the wall of havelis, there is also one picture of havelis you can see. The wall of havelis displays the painting, frescoes as well as mural painting. So what is mural and frescoes? So mural and frescoes is a type of wall painting which shows the images of different god and goddesses, also animal, and intricate carving. Intricate carving means the complicated carving, and also the silver and gold leaf and small mirror work. So there you can see in the picture on the slide, that is the picture of haveli, and also you can see the different paintings on that. So that painting is known as murals, and frescoes. Frescoes is a type of also wall painting that is used. The limestone were used for the construction of the making of those paintings. So there you can see the how delicate the painting is there on the walls. So this enhances the beauty of the havelis during that time. So this haveli becomes the good example of the monumental structure that was constructed during the Mughal Empire. So these havelis were not only the part of the empire only. These havelis were the part. This haveli served as a residence of the nobles as well as the common people, those who are wealthy, rich. They have those who are the traders or the merchants. So they had the money. They can construct the different buildings by using these techniques. But they can also create the havelis. They can also construct the havelis. So these gives the important information that during that time also there were so many rich and wealthy person that they can construct their own buildings on the behalf, or as it shows their dignity and their power. Likewise, that was the construction which was made by the different emperors. So likewise, they have started constructing the different havelis with murals, with frescoes painting that appears, that makes the building look more beautiful and more attractive. There is one example, that is the example of Haveli of Sekhavati. Sekhavati is in Rajasthan. It has two in a courtyard. Two courtyard is there. One courtyard is for women and the other courtyard is for men. So Haveli of Sekhavati is there. That is the example, good example of the Haveli. Now let us see the water sources during the medieval period. So what were the water sources that were used by the Mughal emperor as well as the different rulers, those who ruled the medieval period? So how they get the water, so and how the water helps for the development of the empire. So let us see. So important buildings and maintaining the system of water supply to towns and agricultural field was recognized by the Indian rulers in ancient time. So basically, buildings were also constructed as well as maintaining of the water supply. So these two features were already exist in India before the arrival of the Mughals or the Islamic rulers. So during that time also, in the ancient time also, people were used to get the water. They also know the importance of water, and they created several system for getting water. So in the medieval period, how they had used the different structures for containing water or capturing water. So likewise, in the previous time, in the ancient time, they had constructed several tanks, wells, canals. One of the example, that is a Kallanai. It is a irrigation dam that was built by the Karikalan. He was the Chola ruler, and this was also this particular dam which was constructed by the ancient Chola ruler. The Karikalan was there. He constructed this dam, but nowadays also, even after 1,000 years also, more than 1,000 years also, we are using this dam. So this dam is not only constructed that time, it was also get repaired and maintained by the later Cholas. So those were the later Cholas or the other Chola rulers. They had constructed, they had maintained and repaired those dams, and now it is also used by the nowadays people also. So this kind of structure, this kind of construction that were made during the ancient time as well as the medieval time. Here the medieval rulers also, they had continued the tradition of constructing these things. So basically they have also started constructing the different water sources. So one of the example is Hauze Sultani. It was constructed by the Sultan Iltutmish, and this is also known as King's Reservoir. So King's Reservoirs, or because of this only, he was respected by the rest part of the world. Rest part of the world means those who are knowing about the Hauze Sultani. So this gives the chance to understand that how the water system was important during the ancient time, medieval time, and the current time that we are facing. So the water system is very important. That was also adopted by the many rulers of the Indian subcontinent, because they know that water is used for the agricultural purposes and the household purposes. So household purposes are used for like cooking, bathing, and many more things are there. But agriculture purposes, if they provide the water or the irrigation facilities, definitely the production is more. When production is more, they will get the more revenue. So they will get the more revenue, the treasury will become full, and with the help of those treasury they can fight and conquer the other rulers of the particular areas. So this enhances the revenue, this enhances the royal treasury of the ruler. So that is why they had focused, the many rulers of the different empire that focused on the irrigation facilities and as well as the water system. Now, in continuity of that, you have seen Bawlis or the step wells. Now, why they are known as step wells? Because you can see the step, the different steps you can see that is used to go to the deepest place of this Bawli. So these were constructed during that time. So the steps well are the well or the pond in which the water is reached by descending the set of steps. So there you can see the different steps are there. They're descending, means from the uppers to the, when you're reaching to the downside, they are decreasing in their size. They can be multi-storied, as you can see in the picture. This Bawli or the step well is a multi-storied, and it was mostly found in the arid areas like western India, eastern and southern Haryana, where the water scarcity is more. So for that they have constructed the Bawli. That the Bawlis can collect the water, rainwater basically. So at the time of rain, the waters can get collected in the Bawlis, and when it's a arid time, or when it's a summer or the winter time, that the water can be used from the Bawlis. So this was a great helping hand for the empire also, and for the common people, that they can use the water source for their own purposes. So basically this step were made for to easily that we can reach to the underground water basically. And the construction of Bawlis, that is a well planned durable method were used, that we can obtain water very easily. During the medieval period, forts and palaces had their own water supply system through running water pipes and the chambers. So in the different Mughal architectures also, they had used the fountains. You have seen in the pictures of different pictures, they have used the fountains, and those fountains as well as the different chambers and the running water pipes were made. So it was made up of the stones only, but those running pipes or the hollow places serve as a water source in the royal palaces or the forts. So basically these were providing the water essentialities to the people, those who are living in the forts or the palaces. So this was also good example that by providing the water to these people. Now, power of architecture is another topic that you have to understand. That is how the architecture is a sign of power. So in the previous video I had explained that the different architecture styles that were used by the different rulers, and they have constructed the different monuments during their rule. Like during the reign of Akbar, he established a new capital city, that is the Fatehpur Sikri, or the city of victory. Now the buildings of Fatehpur Sikri that were full of low arches and the bulbous dome. So bulbous dome is what? It is a shape of hemisphere. So it's a onion shape basically. It's look like onion. So that is the bulbous dome. So this becomes the important feature of the architecture that was constructed in the Fatehpur Sikri. Buland Darwaja, it's an impressive gateway. There you can see the picture of Buland Darwaja. and this is the gateway that was constructed on the victory over Gujarat. So when the Akbar got victory over Gujarat, he constructed the Fatehpur, this Fateh Buland Darwaja at the Fatehpur Sikri. Now you can see the Fatehpur Sikri contained the pavilions. So pavilion, you can see the on the top of the roof of the monument, the pavilion is mentioned, made. Also sarai. Sarai is what? It is the rest houses that I had explained in the previous videos also. So sarai is the rest houses for the travelers, as well as palaces. So different palaces were there in the Fatehpur Sikri, and different offices. So what were the palaces? Let's see. Like Panch Mahal. So there you can see the picture of Panch Mahal. It's a 5-floor monument. Birbal House. The next is the Birbal House. From the downside you can see. And again you can see the Jodhabai Palace. The above one is the Jodhabai Palaces, and down one is the Diwane Khas. So these were the monuments that were constructed in the Fatehpur Sikri, as well as Daftar Khana. So Daftar Khana is a record room that is used to keep the records, different records regarding the Mughal Empire. So this is the most important feature of the Akbar's architecture, and these shows the power of particular ruler, because they have constructed several monuments, several buildings. How they have constructed? Because of the royal treasury. How they get the royal treasury? Because of the revenue system, and revenue system is maintained by the ruler only, or the emperor only. So that is why this provide the this gives us good example that the empire is so vast, and because of the vast empire, they get the vast or the huge amount of revenue from them. Now Shah Jahan. So Shah Jahan's rule is considered as the Janith of the Mughal architecture, because after Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, his son, did not took interest in any kind of the monumental construction, as well as the painting and other kind of interesting thing. So Shah Jahan was the last ruler, and his reign was so powerful, as well as his reign was full of different monumental structure that was constructed by the Shah Jahan. Like Shah Jahan reign, it's become it reached at the peak, and his reign was considered as the grand and majestic monuments, and it's a mixture of Indian and Central Asian and Persian styles. Also the reign of Shah Jahan it was famous for the use of marble bulbous dome Paitradura. Okay, Paitradura, here there you can see the picture, that is the Paitradura. So Paitradura is the art of inlaying stones designed over another stone. So on a particular bigger stone, they have used a different colored stone, and they pasted in that is the Paitradura. So this creates the beautiful this enhances the beauty of particular palaces or the monuments basically. So it was mostly involved in laying the precious colored stone on white marble base, creating the execute floral, abstract, mosaic and geometric designs. So what the Shah Jahan reign was seen as a different architecture style. The Paitradura was one of the most important feature that was used during his rule, because on the bigger stone they have constructed, by the using of the different colors color stones, they have pasted so precisely, they cut the stones in the form of different flowers, different petals. So, and those were pasted on the marble, and those marbles were used for the construction of different monuments, especially Taj Mahal. So the next important feature that is under the Red Fort, it was the Moti Masjid or Pearl Mosque, and this Moti Masjid, it was named just because the marble that was used in for the construction of Moti Masjid, it shines like, it's appeared like a pearl. That is why it was known as Moti Masjid or Pearl Masjid. So basically this mosque, the Moti Masjid, it was built by the Emperor Shah Jahan, and it was the great monument. He considered as a great monument builder of India. He also led the architectural development in his reign that you know very well. The shrine justify its name because it shines like a huge pearl, and it was erected in Agra Fort compound for the members of his royal court. So basically, the members, those who are the part or those are the family members, royal family members, they are only allowed to worship into this Moti Masjid or the Pearl Mosque. It's just because of the appearance of the pearl, which it makes it great, and it's make it a shiner. And this particularly Moti Masjid is it was built by the marble. It consists dome, kiosk, and it has the archways as well. There you can see in the picture. So this is the one of the most important feature of the Red Fort that is built by the Shah Jahan, particularly Moti Masjid. The Jama or the Jami Masjid, it is also a great building that is constructed by the Shah Jahan. That is a great old mosque, and it is nowadays it is in the Old Delhi, and it has the courtyard which can hold the 25,000 people at a time. It was begun in 1644, and also it is highly decorative mosque which has three great gates, four towers, and two 40-meter high minarets that were constructed of the strip of red sandstone and white marble. So the red sandstone as well as white marbles were used for the construction of the Jama Masjid or the Jami Masjid. The Taj Mahal. So Taj Mahal is the Taj Mahal is used white marble in the construction of Taj Mahal. It is also known as the crown of palace, and it is a mausoleum of the his wife, his favorite wife Mumtaz Mahal. And after the death of Shah Jahan also, he was also buried beside the Mumtaz Mahal. The Taj Mahal complex completed in 1653, and its cost estimated around 32 million during that time. And with the help of 20,000 artisans, the Taj Mahal was created. Also, it is on the bank of Yamuna River, and Isha Khan was the chief architect of the Taj Mahal. It has double dome, it has delicate marble screens, Paitra Dura inlay work, kiosk, gardens, etc. So these were the important feature of the Taj Mahal. As you have already read in the different sources, that Taj Mahal is it's counted as the seven wonders, and it also won the first position many times. And this gives the Taj Mahal is so impressive that the many visitors visited from all around the world to the Taj Mahal. And this is so majestic, so big building that was constructed during the reign of the Shah Jahan. The new city that was founded by the Shah Jahan, that is the Shah Jahanabad, and this was also known as walled city. So walled city was named because you can see in the picture the whole city is surrounded with the walls. The huge walls were made, and the whole city is surrounded by the wall. That is why it is known as walled city, and this was named as a Shah Jahanabad. That was started in 1639. So Shah Jahan, he had shifted his capital from Agra to Shah Jahanabad, what he had made in the year 1648. Most importantly, Shah Jahan had walled city built in 1638 to 1649. It contains the Lal Killa and the Chandni Chowk. So Lal Killa, as you know, that Lal Killa used for the hoisting the flag on 26 January. So this was nowadays we had used as a different as a various purposes, but during that time that Lal Killa or the Red Fort was used by the Mughal emperor for the residential purposes. The it has the administrative buildings, mosques, the Red Fort, as I told. The houses were also there. The nobles' houses were also there. Wide roads were also there, and garrison, the places where the sipais or the soldiers are there for the protection of the whole Shahjahanabad. Also, the Chandni Chowk, as I told, Chandni Chowk was the famous bazaar that was also created by the Shah Jahan for the Noor Jahan basically. So this was also it's become the famous part of the Shah Jahanabad. And the important building that was constructed by Shah Jahan, that is the Red Fort. Red Fort was constructed in the year 1639, and this gives the chance to shift the capital from Agra to Delhi. And Red Fort, it is given the name because it is the whole building was constructed with the red sandstone, and it appears red. That is why this was named as the Red Fort. So Red Fort it is served as a royal residence, and it becomes the capital of the Mughal Empire. And it took 10 years to complete. It has Diwan-e-Aam, Diwan-e-Khas, and the Rang Mahal. So there are so many buildings were there in the compound of the Red Fort, Delhi. Now the last topic that we have to understand in this video is the resources for the construction. So what the resources they have used for the construction, that they have used the red sandstone as well as the other sandstone for making walls and ceilings. And after some time the white marbles and red sandstones were used from the Mughal emperor. During the Shah Jahan reign, the buildings were made purely with the white marbles. During the reign of Delhi Sultan, they had used a grey marble for the construction. Though it was cheap also, and did not appears the monument good, but in the Mughal Empire, the monuments which were constructed by using the white marbles, that becomes the grand during that time. Now the construction of Taj Mahal, the material that was brought from all over the world, like jade and crystals from China. So it is different stones, the glasses that were imported from the China. Spheres, that is the color stone, like pink, blue, yellow, green, white, black, purple, grey, orange, brown. So these kind of colors were there of the spheres that were brought from the Sri Lanka. White marbles from Makrana in Rajasthan. Carnelian, it's a very species red stone that was imported from the Arabia. And lapis lazuli, it's a blue stone that is brought from the Afghanistan. So these different colored stones were used for the construction of the Taj Mahal. Red Fort in Delhi, it took 10 years to complete. It's about 1 crore rupees were spent during that time. And you know very well the income sources were the growing trades and commerce, as well as the development of the towns and cities. So whatever the income sources were, they get the income from the different revenue they had used for the construction of the different monuments. Now regional architecture is also there. So besides the Mughal architecture, there are some of the regional architecture that was constructed during that time. Like in the medieval period, it was marked as a transformation in economy and polity in the society. So during that time, the different regional architecture were also emerged, because what the Mughal emperor and the Delhi sultans they had created, it gives the way to construct the monuments by the local rulers as well. So that is why the different area, the different region had the different style of architecture, and that were visible during that time also. And they had used a different form of architecture from the Mughal and the sultans, what they have used for the construction on their own monuments. So how the different monuments get influenced. So different monuments would get influenced by the movement of the people, idea, faith, and skill. So people, those who are living in one place, after some time they get the chance to move from one place to another. They keep their ideas and faith and skills with them, and they use those faith, skills, and ideas into the another part of the area what they had moved. So this gives the promotion to the emergence of the new architectural styles. So the mason who had created the Mughal architecture, and if he get the chance to move to the another part of the area, definitely he will take the some of the extract from those monument, and he construct the distinct his own style of monuments in the another region by using that particular area's monumental style. So this gives the chance for the emergence of the regional architectural styles. So a large number of regional kingdoms such as Vijayanagara, Mahamani, Marwar, Gujarat, Jaunpur, Bengal. So these were the regional kingdoms that grown during the 15th century. So as they had captured the many areas, also they earned a lot of money. So on that behalf, they had also constructed the different monuments during their rule. Like during in the Bengal, the different rulers were there. They had constructed the Adina Mosque, the tomb of Jalaluddin Muhammad Pandua. So these were the two monuments there. You can see the tomb of uh, Jalaluddin, the another one, and Tom Adina Masjid. The next one is Dakhil Darwaja and Tantipur Mosque, that is in the Gaur. So this is particularly Bengal, Odisha, and Bihar region. So this type of architectural development were seen during the reign of the Mughal Empire as well. Gol Gumbaj. So this is the Gol Gumbaj. It is present in Bijapur in Karnataka. It was well known for the largest single dome in the world. So this is the largest single dome, and in the world, this gives the impression of the regional architecture of the Bijapur. Charminar. So Charminar, it is present in the Hyderabad, and it had the bulbous dome, the onion shaped dome, and with the petal like design at the base. So base has the petal like design. This makes the Charminar looks more attractive. The Sarki rulers of Jaunpur. So in the Uttar Pradesh, the Sarki rulers they had constructed the Atala Mosque. Here you can see the picture of the Atala Mosque. And the Malwa rulers of Mandu, now the Maharashtra and the Madhya Pradesh region, they had created the Jami Masjid, Hindola Mahal, Jahaj Mahal. So there you can see the picture of Hindola Mahal and Jahaj Mahal. And the important architectural development was the Jharokha and the Chitrasala. So basically it was used by the Rajput rulers. So the Rajputs they had created the forts, and they used the Jharokhas, and Jharokhas were decorated gateways in which the mirror work as well as the different color were used for the Jharokha. Chitrasala, you can see the pictures of the different rulers. So Chitrasala was a picture gallery that was the regular feature of the Rajput structure. So what the Rajput they have created, they use also the Chitrasala. These can be found in Nagaur, Bundi, Jaipur, Jhansi, Orchha, Rang Mahal at Chamba, Sultanpur Palace in Kullu, that is in Himachal Pradesh. So these are the places where the Chitrasalas and as well as Jharokhas were found. One more important for the Chitrasala is the feature where the gold lacquer was used. So it is a paint, basically gold color paint, that was used in the Bikaner, and this gives the inspiration for the golden temple of Amritsar. So this gold color is used in the different monuments. This gives the chance to make the different monuments in the other part of the areas as well as the golden temple that is in the Amritsar. The ruler of the Kashmir, they had built the mosques with the turrets. Turrets, it's a small buildings that is constructed above the mosque as well as besides the mosque. And the Vijayanagara rulers, they have created the Vitthal and Virupaksha temples at Hampi. So these were the some of the important monuments that were created by the regional rulers and the regional kingdoms. They also get inspired from the different Mughal rulers. So that's all that we have to discuss in this video. Thank you, students.